Ah! Ah!
Are you ready for this one?
No.
Are you ever going to be ready for this one?
No.
Oh, no. It was the first book you ever gifted to me, and I didn't like it.
All the way back in, what, 2021?
Something like that.
And then it took you a long time to actually read the damn book.
Yeah, I read it eventually. Turns out I was right to put it off.
And gave it less than 5 stars. No.
2 stars.
Ah! What are you doing?
I didn't know what you were talking about. Hi friends, welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Stacy and I am the chapter Conundrum. And today I'm joined by my husband Jake, the bookish drummer.
Hello.
That's it, just hello.
Hello.
Oh boy. Okay, and today we're going to talk about books that he loved that I did not love.
Oh, this video is going to break my heart.
You'll live.
And then in a future episode, we're going to be doing the opposite.
Yeah.
Books that you love that I don't like.
Yeah. Should be fun.
Yeah.
You have anything else to say?
Let's get her done. So the first book that I have, admittedly, is not like an all-time favorite, but this is kind of just representing the author in totality. You are not going to like this author, but I really like the author.
I have already read one of their books and not liked it.
Yes. That would be Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. So, why did you not like this book, sweetie?
Because it has magical realism and it's not very logical. No, okay, so to be fair, magical realism for me in general is a struggle because it involves magic that is unexplained or that the characters don't really react to. When there's magic in a story, I have a hard time if nobody's reacting to it or addressing it or if there's no explanation.
That makes sense. And we're kind of going we're starting out at the bottom here in like levels of egregiousness. So this one's the least egregious because you read this. Didn't you read this for like a book bed or something?
Yeah, you had to read Golden Sun if I read this.
Yes. Yeah, something like that. But I knew you weren't going to like this, so it's not like, oh, how could you not like this? It's like, I knew you weren't going to like it.
And you made me do it anyway.
Well, you made me read a book that we'll talk about in the other video.
Oh,
so there's that.
Okay.
But yeah, I love Haruki Murakami, but definitely not for you.
Definitely not.
So another book that I didn't anticipate you loving, but I at least thought you would like it. Maybe you did. I'm not sure. I don't remember. You did like it? Okay, so you didn't hate this book. Kind of teasing it right here a little bit. Oop, oop, oop. It's Tender as the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica. This was my favorite book that I read last year, and I think you read it this year, right?
Yes, in the April readathon.
And what did you think of it?
I thought it was very interesting. Like, clearly the author put a lot of care and thought into the themes in the book, and she definitely did a lot of exploration before she wrote and just thought about like different conflicts that will come up and different things that she would have to address within the story. So I thought that was very intentional and well done, but I just really didn't connect to the character and I wasn't all that wowed by the plot.
Okay, well, I felt the opposite. I loved it.
I will say this is one that is going to work better for people who like visualize while they read or imagine the story as they read because it's also very descriptive.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't hate it, but
no,
you didn't love it
I just
either.
didn't appreciate it the way that you do.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So another book that's one of my personal favorite horror books or novellas that you liked, but you didn't love it either, would be Night of the Mannequins by one of my favorite authors, Stephen Graham Jones. So why didn't you love this book?
Well, I think with this one, maybe because it's a novella, it just didn't delve deep enough into the characters' reactions to what was going on around them, and I didn't really get a sense of their motives. So I thought it was fun, but I didn't love that piece was missing for me, so I couldn't connect to it the way you did, and it was just okay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if you're gonna enjoy his writing, really, because his books tend to go, I'm not even really sure how to describe it, but like it's definitely character focused, and I don't know, I just get the feeling you're not gonna like his writing.
Okay.
But this is one of my favorites. I thought it's one of the best like black comedy things ever. I thought it was really funny and really, really fun.
Yeah, you tend to like black comedy more than I do. But I tend to like more of like serious tone dark stuff more than you do.
Yeah. So this next book is a third book in a trilogy that's probably my favorite trilogy of all time, and it's rare for me to find a perfect trilogy where I give all of the books 5 stars, but this is definitely one of them. Definitely an unpopular opinion, no. I know a lot of people cite this as the worst in the trilogy, but I really like it. And that would be Only Human by Sylvain Deville, the third and final book in the Themis Files trilogy. So, what did you think of the trilogy as a whole, and then specifically this book?
So, I really enjoyed the trilogy as a whole. I really enjoyed book 1 and 2 specifically. It was fun to try and unravel the mysteries that were layered into the story, and I just enjoyed discovering things alongside the main characters. But this one just had a plot direction that I was excited about at the beginning, and then things quickly veered off course with that plot thread. And I can't go into spoilers, obviously, but there's some things in the setting of this one at the beginning that I was very curious about, and I just felt like it was completely lacking in direction or explanation in terms of that setting. So I got excited about things that just weren't delivered on, and then we got something I wasn't that excited about.
Very thorough explanation.
Well, I tried to be not spoilery.
Yeah, it's a hard book to talk about without spoilers.
Yeah.
But basically, you didn't like the direction it went in, but I did.
Okay.
So this next book is a book that we recently just finished reading on our Discord, Bookish Drummer Discord. A lot of people read it. A lot of people enjoyed it. One of my personal favorites, and that would be The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury, which is one of the best sci-fi short story collections of all time.
Is it though?
You have a different opinion.
I think that this one was just very, very theme focused, and it focused a lot on descriptions. So because I wasn't that interested in a lot of like the settings necessarily, and I wanted more from the characters and the stories themselves in terms of plot, it just focused on things I was less interested in.
You're definitely a plot reader, and there's not a lot of plot in these stories. It's kind of like you're putting characters in unique premises and seeing what they're gonna do and stuff.
See, I was more interested in figuring out how they felt and how it would unravel, and we didn't really get a lot of that.
Well, maybe Ray Bradbury isn't for you, but you still have to read Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to try his novel. Like, I didn't hate this, I just didn't love it.
We will, we shall see.
Yeah.
Right. And now these books are gonna start like you really don't like these books, and I really did enjoy these books. This next book is by one of my all-time favorite authors. This is so far the only one, I believe, that I haven't given 5 stars to. And which, you know, it's not a perfect book, and you would definitely argue that. I'm, of course, talking about One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And, yeah, I give it 4.5 stars. Not her best, but you really did not like this book.
I threw it across my bed because I was angry at it.
Oh, boy. Why were you angry, sweetie?
Well, okay, so if you know the premise, it's about a woman who was married. Her husband goes missing. He's presumed dead. So she grieves, and then she moves on with her life, and she's with someone new, and they're either engaged or about to become engaged or something.
I think they're engaged.
Yeah, okay, I think they're engaged. And then she gets a phone call out of the blue that her husband has returned, is actually alive. And so it's her trying to figure out how she moves forward in this situation, in this tangled web. So I thought that this book was going to pull on my heartstrings in both directions, that it was going to be really a struggle to figure out what she was going to do, that she was going to have to do a lot of soul searching, you know, that kind of thing. But actually, she already had past experiences with both of these characters before they were involved romantically. And like, even going back to the past timeline, it was very obvious who she should choose. But then on top of that, she doesn't treat one of them very well. She makes decisions that they're not okay with, and then that's never really addressed, so I didn't like that. By the end of it, who she ended up with, I was just frustrated because I was like, no, you don't even deserve them. Also, her reasoning for picking the person she picked was just very shallow. Like, I wanted it to be some deep conversation, but it just felt very surface level.
So overall, what was your star rating?
I think I gave it a 2 stars.
Okay.
And that's mainly just because of the writing. Like, I like Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. I have given all of her other books at least like a 3.5 star to 4 star or higher. But this one, no.
Well, I did enjoy it. But like I said, it is my least favorite so far, but I still really enjoyed it.
No, it made me angry. She didn't even deserve him, guys. No.
Oh boy.
No.
Let us know in the comments what you think of this book. Do you love it, hate it? What's going on here? Who's right here? And now we get to some really nuggetiness over here because I love this author. I've given basically almost all of her books 5 stars. Fantastic mystery thriller writer, including this book. I love this book, and you've read some of her books and did enjoy them. But for whatever
Mixed
reason,
experiences.
yeah, for whatever reason, you did not like Watching You by Lisa Jewell. And admittedly, even though I did give this book 5 stars, I think she does have better books, but you really did not like this book.
No.
Why not?
I can't even remember that much about it, honestly. I just remember being very bored. I think she really took time to set the atmosphere and describe a lot of things, and I just wasn't that interested in the characters, the story, or the atmosphere in this one. Like, it did nothing for me.
Completely disagree. And that's one of the reasons why I love Lisa Jewell, is because she's a fantastic character writer and she has great atmosphere.
Well, I like her other books that I've read. Like, I've read The Family Upstairs, gave that 3.5 stars. I read Then She Was Gone, gave that 4 stars. This one, 2 stars.
Maybe you need to reread it.
No. No.
And this next book kind of has a special place in our relationship because I sent you this book to read even before we started dating.
It was the first book you ever gifted to me, and I didn't like it.
All the way back in, what, 2021?
Something like that.
And then it took you a long time to actually read the damn book.
Yeah, I read it eventually. Turns out I was right to put it off.
This is one of my all-time favorite horror books. This is a trend. We just do not line up with horror books.
Would you have still dated me if I read this before we started dating and hated it?
Yes.
Well, that's good at least.
Anyway, we do not have the same horror taste is what I'm trying to say. And you gave friggin' Wonderland by Zoe Stage, one of my favorite books. What'd you give it, like 2 stars?
2 stars.
Why?
Well, it involves a setting that is very homey for me. It's like out in the middle of nowhere in upstate New York, so a couple hours away from where I grew up. So it involves like the same sort of like nature, wildlife that I grew up with. So a lot of it was the logic of the characters and how they were acting in this situation. I was just like, that doesn't track, or that doesn't make sense. But further into the story, you get some magical realism elements, which we've already discussed are not my jam. So that just killed it for me. I was already struggling, and then it was like, nope.
To be fair, this book does not have a great rating on Goodreads.
I can see why.
But they're all wrong. This is such a good book.
No. We could also add that I have read and enjoyed some other Zoe Stage books. I really liked Baby Teeth and Mothered. So it's not even the author, it's just that book.
Okay.
Are you ready for this one?
No.
Are you ever going to be ready for this one?
No.
Oh, no.
If you guys know anything about my channel, The Bookish Drummer, you know I make a lot of Stephen King content. He's my second favorite author of all time. And this is my second favorite book by him. And you really did not like it.
I was bored.
It's Misery by Stephen King. Such a great novel. And in this one, you can't even say, with Wonderland, you could say like, oh, everybody doesn't like that. But this one, one of his most famous, one of his most beloved horror books. So good. One of the best horror icons ever in Annie Wilkes. There's your opening credit.
Okay.
So why did you not like this, sweetie?
First of all, this contains a book inside of a book, which is fine. Normally I like that. But in this instance, I had absolutely zero investment in what was happening in the book inside the book. I didn't care at all about Misery or her story. I think mainly because it focused on moments with her character instead of telling a story inside the book. Maybe.
You don't even remember.
Exactly. It was forgettable.
But what about the actual, story of Misery? Like Annie Wilkes, Paul Sheldon, locked up. I'm your #1 fan. Any of that ring a bell?
Yeah. Great premise. Very slow pacing.
Yeah, and you've read Stephen King books that you did really like you loved Dolores Claiborne.
5 stars.
Yeah. So what's the deal?
Slow pacing. I was bored. I was bored. To be fair, I read this going into it expecting a thriller because somebody had told me it was a thriller. So that's wrong, first of all. And second of all, I wasn't very used to slow pacing when I picked this up. So this is something that has the potential to get higher than a 2-star rating for me if I ever decide to reread it. But still, I just remember being very bored and not invested.
Well, it's one of my all-time favorites, and you just have nuggety horror tastes.
I feel like in this case, the movie would be a lot better.
Have you seen the movie?
No.
Well, we're gonna watch it.
Okay.
Because it's really good.
Yeah,
and
also the pacing would be better in the movie.
And the actress who played Dolores Claiborne plays Annie Wilkes.
Yeah.
And she won an Oscar for it.
Yeah.
You're a conundrum. And if those weren't bad enough, we're talking about possibly my favorite horror book of all time. I loved this book. Still love it. I need to reread it. And I was so excited for you to read it. I genuinely thought you were going to like this book. But looking back, that was a big mistake. And we're, of course, talking about Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. So good. And I know it's divisive. You get to the halfway point, and there's kind of like a twist, or like the story becomes something else. And you're either turned off by that, or you're intrigued.
Or like me, you're just meh.
Yeah, so I gave this book 5 stars, obviously. What did you give it, sweetie?
I can't even remember. I think it was a 2.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
I remember.
You remember.
I remember. But yeah, why did you not like this?
I think when I read horror, I want it to be more tangible. I want to have a good sense of what the characters are experiencing and what their emotions are surrounding that experience. And I think this kind of failed in 2 parts, or it kind of failed twofold in that sense, because it's very like fever dreamish. You don't really get a full grasp on what's actually happening. And then on top of that, it's told from the perspective of a young child who doesn't really have complex reactions to it.
But you do get other characters.
Yeah, but again, it's hard to empathize with their reactions to things when you don't even know what exactly is going on for them to react to.
Yeah, overall, you just don't like fever dream stuff, which I quickly learned when you read this book. That's also another reason you're not going to like Stephen Graham Jones.
Okay.
Some of his books do kind of read like that.
I will say also, I buddy read this. I think it was with Justin when I read it. And there's some things about the writing that were interesting too. Like there was a certain section of the book where we interpreted something completely differently. Like I thought that one thing had happened and he thought that something completely different had happened. And then we went back and looked at the text and we read it again. And it's really open to interpretation. Like either one of us could have been right and we still have no idea. So there's just some things with the writing in this one that I struggled with too, because I'm like, maybe that's part of why I didn't love it, because my brain went in a different direction than yours when you read it. But the text leaves it open, so I don't know.
It's so good. How could you?
I didn't have a good time. What can I say?
How many of these books were horror books? I mean, like Misery, Wonderland, Night of the Mannequins, Tender as the Flesh, Imaginary Friend. Like, we just don't have the same horror taste, quite frankly.
Not the same horror, not the same sci-fi. Everything else we align fairly well. The only exception in this video that's not horror or sci-fi is Taylor Jenkins Reid, right?
Lisa Jewell's Thriller.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I guess it's horror adjacent.
That one's borderline horror though, because it's a stalker.
Yeah. Mostly it's horror though, it seems.
But I liked her thriller books that I've read.
Well, it's mostly horror, so we don't really, and a lot of these ones that were my favorite were horror books.
Yeah. So all in all, you have nuggety horror and sci-fi tastes, babe.
It's everyone else that does.
Oh, it's me that does.
I have immaculate taste. Every one of y'all who read Wonderland and gave it less than 5 stars, no.
2 stars.
Ah!
Sorry, baby, it didn't work for me. So that was it for our discussion on books that my husband Jake really enjoyed that I really did not enjoy. Let us know down below in the comments whose taste you align with more. Do you agree more with Jake or me? Or maybe you're a mix of somewhere in between?
And stay tuned for the reverse, where we look at some of Stacy's favorites that I really did not like, and I'll explain why I have immaculate taste.
Oh, okay. Or explain why you didn't like my books.
Yeah.
Okay.
That means the same thing.
No. Interestingly enough, in that edition, they're not all sci-fi or horror.
No. Some of them are fantasy.
Yeah. And
usually we align with fantasy.
Yeah. I think there's one subgenre of fantasy we don't align with, and that's what you'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Are we going to do an episode where we look at some of our mutual favorites?
Yeah, we can.
Because we have some of those.
We have a fair amount of those.
Yeah. Okay.
But this was more fun.
Yeah. Fun for you, baby.
So that was it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out if you want to, and have a great day. Bye.
Bye.